All right, good morning, folks. Thanks for coming to our weekly Virginia Open Carry breakfast. We're honored to have Mr. Larry Pratt with us from Gun Owners of America. Larry will be our guest drawer. Today we're going to be drawing for two firearms. We're going to be drawing for the Springfield Armory XDS, which is this little 45 with a full kit right there. And the other gun we're going to draw is the integrated Ruger 22, which is an integrated silencer with a Ruger. And in addition to winning the gun, you're going to get a $200 cash back grocery money because you spent your grocery money on your tax stamp. And you're also going to get an NFA gun trust from Arsenal Attorneys. You can find out more about them at arsenalattorneys.com, Matthew Bergstrom. So the first gun had 75 tickets for the XDS, so any number above 75 will ask Larry to draw a second ball until we get a winner. 150 balls in the jar. If you would please, sir. 28. First time, put that back in. Yep, yes, sir. And 28 is Mr. David Patch from Ashburn, Virginia. David, are you here? Apparently, nope. Congratulations to David.
All right.
All right, so we'll remix these up. And this is for the Ruger, the tax stamp, and the gun trust.
$77.
77 on the Ruger. That's a number that I buy a lot, but I don't know if I did it this time or not. 77 is a good friend of ours, George Smith.
Wow.
Right from Purcellville, Virginia. George has bought a lot of tickets, so I'm glad he won something.
Wow.
So congratulations to George Smith. And now we'll turn it over to Larry and let him tell you a little bit about Gun Owners of America.
Good morning. Nice to be here with you. Gun Owners has been operating for over 30 years on the view that gun control comes from the point of view of the ruling class. They don't trust us with guns. Like one of the Continental soldiers said years after hostilities had ceased, and he was asked by an historian, why did you guys think you could take on the world's mightiest empire, the world's strongest army? And he said, well, they reckon to rule us, and we reckon that they shouldn't. And so I think that's, at the end of the day, what it's all about. And the way we reckon that they don't rule us is we have the means to ensure that they don't rule us. And one of the more exciting things that's happening in this area, in this pushback, Washington, maybe we're going to make some progress next year, but out in the hustings, there are sheriffs around the country, like one of our members, Brad Rogers in Elkhart County, Indiana, who has heard from a farmer in his district that the FDA was going to confiscate his raw milk producing equipment at his dairy because they really have a thing against raw milk. And he asked the sheriff, what can you do to help me? The sheriff said, look, what you're doing here is perfectly fine. What they're talking about at the FDA does not fit within Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. So he got a hold of the FDA, told their attorney in Washington, if you put a foot on the sheriff, on the farmer's land, I'm going to arrest you. And they said, well, if you try that, we'll arrest you. And he said, game on. Now that was back in November, and the raw milk is still being produced. So that's what we can do when we have a good sheriff. So encourage your own sheriff to do the same. If he hasn't read the book by Sheriff Richard Mack, go online at gunowners.org, which is, of course, our Gun Owners America website, and go to the resources section and buy that little book where former Sheriff Mack outlines that whole doctrine that was being put into practice by Sheriff Rogers back in November. So good things happening, folks. Let's keep the pressure on. Thanks.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming.